During the development of the Pokemon Generation 1 games, there were many concepts that were drawn and made and held within the production binder called Capsule Monsters. Capsule Monsters being the name of Pokemon during development, of course. Within the binder, many concepts were held, everything from simple concept art of how the world looked to cut Pokemon and even a world map of the game. While at first glance the map may not look that different, upon closer inspection, there is one extra location here that never appeared within the final map of the game. So today on Cut Content, we explore the deleted city of Pokemon Generation 1. As I have stated in previous episodes, within the data of Pokemon Red and Blue, everything from Pokemon, items, and even locations have an internal number. The locations, specifically in this case, start out with towns first and then go on to the routes. Number 0000 to 010 account for all 11 towns that you can fly to, but when you swing to number 011, there is an empty slot there before hitting 012, which is Route 1. This can mean one of two things. It is either a city that they were planning to work on last, or a scrapped route that they threw out. Unfortunately, trying to load this route crashes the game as there is actually no map there to load as it was deleted. While the obvious pointer is that old concept map that shows the removed location, the location could have easily been just another route that you take between Vermilion and Celadon City, rather than a full city. While that is entirely possible, a curveball I'd like to throw here is this leftover fly location. Normally you can fly only to those 11 towns or locations in the game, but here we have this very removed location from the game that you can fly to as the 12th location. This would mean that was indeed a town and not a route. Again, trying to fly to it crashes the game, but there is a major problem with this. Why is this fly location here if this old concept map had it all the way in the middle of the sea? Could they have made a scrapped post-game location here rather than what was shown in the old concept map? Again, that is also a possibility, but there is also a problem with that too. Notice how all the fly locations have a decent gap between them, as this is a way to quickly transport between them, yet this location is oddly close to the Indigo Plateau. They could have realistically merged that with the Indigo Plateau as one bigger city, rather than make two very close separate locations. Therefore, I believe this was just a placeholder until they actually got working on the actual location for this fly location to go to. We already can guess that this removed location was likely planned to be worked on last, as it was last amongst all the towns in the internal numbering, and this was held true for all other internal numbering lists too, including Pokemon, where Rhydon was the first programmed into the game, and therefore why it was first amongst the Pokemon internal numbers. So if they had went ahead and made this map and implemented it into the game where it should be as the concept map shows, and the fly location had been properly placed on that location too, what would it have been like? Considering it is smack in the middle of the sea, we know it's an island, which would have made it the third island of the game. The concept map shows that it was going to be a fairly large city too, on the scale of at least Celadon City, considering the square around each city gives an idea of its size. The map holds true considering the smallest towns including Cinnabar Island, Pallet Town, and Lavender Town have no big boxes around them. And lastly, and most fascinating, is that it doesn't look like anyone could swim or walk to it in any ways. Between Pallet Town and Fuchsia City, there is a clear route of water that you could take to Cinnabar Island. Here, there is no way to get there. So how would you have reached it? The answer? The Saint Anne. It always bothered me since I was a kid as to the existence of the Saint Anne. It was this big boat made in the game and it sails out without you. There was literally no use to it other than getting the HM for cut to just get into the Vermilion Gym. The map itself, having the island just left of Vermilion City, does support this theory very well. In fact, you would take the boat to go to the island and then have to take another boat to go to Celadon City, which was always the fourth gym in the game anyways. In fact, this path would have been a much more straightforward method to get to Celadon City, as the path you normally take requires you to backtrack to Cerulean City, go through the rock tunnel, make it to Lavender Town, which you can't even do anything there, including the quest to complete the Pokemon Tower yet, and then get to Celadon City. Realistically, it was a lot of filler just to be able to get to Celadon City. Interestingly enough, the Pokemon anime had this to an extent where they took the Saint Anne, and while it did sink, they did eventually reach an island resort, which had its own wild adventure, including 2 inflatable pieces removed in the dub. Thus, this brings me to why this was removed. You would think this method of getting to Celadon City would have been the better way, but at the same time, the problem may have been, as usual, the Game Boy cart space, which was very maxed out by the end of development, and since this was the last city they wanted to work on, they couldn't. Therefore, they likely instead utilized the pre-existing data of the rock tunnel, which may have even been used for a different purpose, like going to the power plant to find Zapdos instead, to instead being used to loop around to get to Celadon City, as it wouldn't require much more space to get to it at all. While it could have been a prime opportunity to return to it in the remakes of Generation 1, being faithful was more important to the original design, so we ended up with 9 more islands instead as post-game material, which held a whole quest leading into Generation 2 even. It would have been nice to have it incorporated into the main adventure of the game, but you know what else would have been nice to incorporate? This channel on your subscription list, so hit the subscribe button below, and hit like button too if you liked the video, hit the dislike if you didn't, and comment below, would you have rather preferred the island in the game as a way to get to Celadon City, or did you like taking that big loop around to get there first? So everyone, I'll be back with another video very soon, so thank you for watching.